retiring from being a licensed therapist, and we wish him well in his next chapter of life. We look forward to hearing him speak on his topic of mindful journaling.
Thank you, Doctor. Can everybody hear me? I got a lot of stuff up here. My name is Guss Bloebaum, and I am, as Lenore nicely put it, have about 30 some odd years of doing counseling here in the greater St. Louis area. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of what Dr. Contact and the Venerable kind of put what I am, and then hopefully by the time Don gets here I can add to him. So we'll be doing a lot of it, adding to one another. I actually started around 1982 at St. Mary's Hospital, working in the chemical dependency unit at St. Mary's. Our biggest problem at the time in St. Louis, unlike it is today, was alcoholism. It was not heroin as it is today. When I originally went in, did not have a lot of background other than what I learned in my master's degree about alcoholism, and I came upon two important people in my life. One, a friend of mine, Frank Lippert, and the other one was a guy by the name of Dr. Conrad Summers. Frank was a recovering alcoholic who ultimately became part of my training at the Gestalt Institute here in St. Louis on Big Bend. And then his trainer was Dr. Conrad Summers, who actually opened up the Psychoanalytic Institute here in St. Louis, one of the first people to open that up. And they were both my trainers. I bring this history to you to say that today when I talk about journaling, both of these gentlemen were influential in beginning to teach me about journaling. The mindfulness came in 22 years later when I walked into the Thai temple and I met Dr. Konsak and Dr. Nakom, who is now the head monk here at the Thai temple, who has been my meditation teacher for going on in September 23 years. When Dr. Konsak talked about the mindfulness meditation by John Kabat-Zinn, what one has to understand is that the monks here and the training, the culture that one experiences in Asia, where you can ride down, and being a Vietnam veteran, I can tell you I've experienced this myself firsthand. You can ride down a highway, and a memory comes back to me, Highway 1 between Cam Ranh Bay and the train. In the train there is a huge Buddha that is about the size of where the temple meets. It's a huge white Buddha that sits on the side of the hill. And that represents enlightenment. That represents their experience of mindfulness. That represents the ability to transcend all that we are as human beings into goodness, compassion, and caring. The experience that I had as I entered treatment was that John Kabat-Zinn calls it mindfulness-based stress reduction. And in his program, he adds some of the elements of what we called back then stress management. And one of the things that I immediately got involved into was stress management. Now the idea of stress management is this: we're going to teach you guided meditations. We're going to teach you how to breathe. We're going to teach you how to relax. That's one place to be. In the Orient, Southeast Asia, Asia, all those areas, it's already right up there in front of you. You're going to do this inside, and you're going to take it inside, and you're going to get to this place by yourself. That's your journey. This is a long-term commitment, and it was going on 2,500 years before we began, because according to John Kabat-Zinn, he started about the same time we did with stress management. We began to recognize that we needed to add something else to the pain and suffering of the substance abusers that would help them to get over what my friend Frank lovingly called thinkaholism. What is thinkaholism? Well, the Venerable pointed out what thinkaholism is your mind going 1,000 miles an hour and making you miserable. And anybody who's had insomnia knows what thinkaholism is, because it's a lot of worry, concern, and on and on and on and on and on. The Buddha, in one of his sutras, talked about two arrows. And the first arrow was if somebody hit you with an arrow and wounded you, you could mend off the arrow. And that was your first hurt. But the bigger hurt was 5 years after you got over your wound, you were still thinking about how you hated that person for shooting you with the arrow. And with that kind of thinking, it was brought out in the parable like, which is more painful? Is it to be hit with the first arrow, or 5 or 10 or 20 years later, still being angry, upset at this person for having done that to you to begin with? In journaling, what you have is an immediate feedback system that can be cost effective. You can go to Walmart, and I'm going to show you some things, by the way. I don't get any payback on any of this stuff. So anybody who's thinking other guy's going to get some money off this or whatever, it's not happening. 25 cents at Walmart will buy you a journal. Your immediate feedback system is right here. I've already used it on the Venerable because I wrote 2 notes. One is the word mirage, the other one is enchanted. Because what happens in your thinkaholism world is that the mirage becomes real. The worry becomes real in your mind. Even if it hasn't happened, it didn't happen, or it might happen. That's the mirage. The enchantment comes in part 2. That's like, I really believe this. I'm sold. It doesn't mean it's the truth. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But in your mind, that catastrophe has already been built, and you're already buying into it. And through the simple technique of breathing, as she's taught you today, using breathing meditation, or there's other meditations that you can use. There's the metta meditation, which, by the way, if you pick up one of these at the front desk, there's loving kindness meditation, which is a beautiful meditation, which you can do is just simply breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And it says, first thing is, it says, may I be happy. Because most of the time, all of us are taught that we got to care about everybody first before we take care of number one. Well, the Buddha said, you got to take care of number one too. So you can do what's called a metta meditation, or you can do what's called a mantra meditation. Now that's not originally, the mantra meditation is not originally in the sutras that I know of. In the Thai tradition, the mantra meditation would go something like the word Buddha. You go Bu, Bu, Do. And you would focus on that, breathing in Bu, out, Buddha. Now, I read this online as I was doing the research for it. There is a great, actually Christian meditator by the name of Francis de Sales, who wrote this. He said, for contemplative life, it requires the following: a cup of understanding, a barrel of love, and an ocean of patience. Those are the things that are required. In the Zen tradition, they talk about great faith. And then they talk about not having faith, because you're always going back and forth between not having faith and having faith, and then being patient. The meditation and the journaling that I use is a guy by the name of Ira Progoff. And Progoff's journaling is the standard, so to speak, and it was what I was trained in so many years ago on how to journal. But if you're going to journal again, 25 cents, date. The one thing that I would do to help you out is journaling adds structure and feedback and support for meditation. Because meditation looks good on paper, but it's tough as nails. When people say, let's meditate, oh yeah, I can do that. The first thing they do is they start doing a breathing meditation, and all this stuff starts coming up, and they go, I can't do this. I just can't meditate. Well, the truth of the matter is, all that junk that's going on, that's been going on all your life. You just haven't recognized it. And when you check in for the first time, it can be overwhelming. The journal is a place where you can sit down and write some of that mirage, some of that enchantment, and you can look at it and go, okay, here's my support. I am not only watching it, I'm writing it down and I'm getting support from it. And that's where the power of journaling comes in. So the first thing I would do is, what's your definition of mindfulness? And I will use what Dr. Consack used, John Kabat-Zinn's. And his is, it's an awareness of thoughts, paying attention on purpose in the present moment in a non-judgmental way, as if your life depended on it. There's another one that just simply says, let go of taking things for granted. Return to the present moment. I came here one time for a mindfulness retreat, and Don, one of his first meditations that he taught me was to ask yourself, where is your mind at right now? Where did it go? What's going on? Some of you may be sitting there getting bored stiff. Oh my God, I wish this guy would get over this stuff. Some of you are thinking about the past. I forgot to do this, I forgot this, I got the kids at home, I got this, I got this. Some of you are in the future thinking about some possible catastrophe that may never even happen. You're caught in a mirage and enchantment. Bringing your meditation to what's happening right now. Where's my mind right now? As you progress into that meditation and become a better meditator, one of the things you might journal at is, what is the mind? And you can journal on that for months at a time. The other thing I've discovered in my own meditation was, when all this mirage and enchantment comes up, one day I was walking during walking meditation. I was walking the Katy Trail in St. Charles, and it occurred to me, who is inside of me that's bringing this stuff up? Who is this person? Because it can't be me. I'm meaner to myself watching my stuff than any person who ever disliked me for whatever reason. I am impossibly hard on myself because what we thought was going on inside the mind, what I learned in early training, was not true. It's not mom and dad issues that's going on in my mind. It's the person who I hurt their feelings about 20 years ago. I never got over that. And I'd love to go back there and tell them I'm sorry, but I can't. I may never see him again. They may be passed away. What do? I journal. Dear friend, I wish you were here. Or dear unfriend. Because the rule of making amends is you never make an amends if you know you're going to hurt the other person, or that the other person won't accept it, and you're stuck again with a second arrow. Because people will want to make amends, and that's a good thing. But in teaching the kind of program of recovery, you have to be real careful that if you're going to make amends, somebody's going to be compassionate enough to accept it, or don't make it to them if it hurts you or the other person. So, you can make amends. Another form of journaling is feelings. I go out and I blow up at somebody I love. I get angry. Because anger is defined as this. Being angry at someone is having someone living in your head, taking poison. You take the poison and wishing that they were dead. That's anger. You take the poison, but you hope they're dead. That's what anger is going to do for you. It's not going to affect them, but it's going to tear you up on a lot of levels. What are these feelings? What am I afraid of? Anybody who's a parent or grandparent will have a concern that their children will live a long life. What is my fear about that? It'll come up in meditation. These are the kind of things that meditation brings about. These are the kind of situations that by journaling, you are beginning to, because good intentions in journaling, there's the old German saying about the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I assure you, as I get older, I have a great deal of good intentions, because when I go to Walmart to buy my stuff on Thursday, I always think to myself, I'm going to remember this and that and the other, because I got to pick it up. So I get home, the wife says, where's so-and-so and such and such? Got it. I don't write it down. My good intentions are going to bring me, it's going to take me another trip to Walmart. If you write it down, you've got it in front of you, the good intention of saying, I think I remember this. If you've got it down there in front of you, you can work with it. The other thing about journaling is you want to keep it simple. You don't want to go off on tangents with this. A thought. I learned this thought in meditation. A new thought, a new experience, a new feeling, a new sight. Sometimes after meditation, you come out of meditation and you notice that things are brighter. You notice that your hearing goes back to the senses. Your hearing may be clearer. Your compassion, your ability not to want to strangle somebody for jumping in line with you at Walmart and giving you the second chance of saying, okay, I'll let them be there because I'm learning patience now, may be the new experience that you get out of meditation. And you can write it down in your journal. The other thing is that when we come and talk about meditation, unless you're really, really determined that you want something specific, or that you at least want to gain something, you're going to give it up. And you're going to walk away and you're going to say, another person who said, all this stuff on mindfulness, I tried it once, I tried it twice, it never worked out. The journal is a nice way to keep you focused. The other thing is, if you decide to stop, which is fine, you can always go back to the journal and see what was going on before then. Am I making sense so far? This is a real power, it's a 25-cent powerful tool. Now, one of the things that can help you is what's called an entrance meditation. And this comes strictly from Ira Progoff. Progoff is Progoff. And this is from the White Robe Monk, which is a series of entrance meditations. And I would like for you just to sit back and enjoy the reading, because it's a beautiful reading. You go in a journal, you date it, you write down a definition that works for you, at least in the beginning. You don't have to do this every time. But by taking something like a nice entrance meditation to take you into meditation, again, you're doing some support to give you help, to get better results, to encourage you to continue in your determination to end up where you never thought you would end up. That's my definition of meditation. We're always ending up where we never thought we would end up. And here's the entrance meditation. Sitting in stillness, breathing, at the depth of stillness, something stirs in me. It draws me in to explore what I know not. I rouse myself and follow it, and I go with it, not knowing where. The stirring within me leads me down dark corridors where there is no light. Not seeing where I'm walking, I walk onwards. Looking ahead, I see nothing. There is no end in sight. Those entrance meditations, you can take something like a scripture. You can take something like a good thought of the day. Some people like thoughts of the day. You can write a thought of the day. But before you go into the meditation, you might want to write an interest meditation. I would encourage you to be creative and to use your own words, your own experiences, your own situations that are positive in helping you to kind of get more momentum as you go into the meditation and you're writing it down. This is my interest meditation. Just the word stillness. It's a nice beginning of an interest meditation. Stillness. Because what you're going to do if you use a breathing meditation, you've already set yourself up at some level to go into a state of stillness and quiet or peacefulness, whatever it is. One of the things that I learned here at the temple from a gentleman by the name of Chikunzi Tilalong, I think I said that right, did I not? Chikunzi Tilalong, from Chicago. He said this to me. The first thing he said, why don't you come to Chicago and train to be a monk? And I assured him that my wife would never. I'm sorry, this ain't going to happen, but thank you for the invitation. He said to me, Gus, you got to watch your dreaming. And in my training at the Institute, we focused, again back, these were the days before Prozac, if you can imagine that those days even existed. We focused a lot on the dreaming. He said your dreaming will change in your meditations. So, if you're using the journal, if you're going to sleep at night and you find that maybe some old stuff or some new stuff occurs, if you use your journal and you start writing it down, you can begin to use those images and those symbols as a way of helping you on your journey. If you have a recurring dream, it usually means something's not resolved. So if you take the images and the symbols and you switch them around a little bit to a positive ending, instead of making yourself more and more miserable because you keep waking up and looking at your spouse and saying, I had the same memory. I had the same dream last night. What's going on? Take the symbols, rearrange them for a happy ending, read it over and over again until you get it, meditate on it. It can change. If